Hi, I'm Russ Thurl, publisher and editor-in-chief of Collision Week. It's no secret that the issues surrounding the need for diagnostic scans and programming of collision-damaged vehicles have been a growing concern for collision repairers over the past few years. In June, Mitchell International and Bosch Automotive announced a partnership to deliver the Mitchell Diagnostics system designed specifically for collision repair and auto physical damage claims markets. We recently spoke with Jack Rosen, Vice President of Sales and Service at Mitchell, who gave us a presentation with an overview of the new system, the reporting they have developed to help document the scan results, and how they believe it fits in the marketplace. Jack, thanks for being here today.
All right, Russ, great for you to have me. Thank you. We're going to talk a little bit today about Mitchell Diagnostics, our newest solution for our collision repair customers. So the chart we're looking at here shows what typically is showing up now in mid-range vehicles in terms of instrumentation. And it wasn't more than 3 or 4 years ago where this level of instrumentation was only showing up on the high-end Mercedes and BMWs. And it's now come into the mid-range Hondas and Toyotas. And in another 2 to 3 years, you're probably going to see instrumentation like this on almost every car. New model car that's coming out. So this is providing a whole lot of challenge, obviously, for the collision repairers that are fixing these cars. So this is an example of Honda's position statement that came out talking about calibration. And what they're saying in this chart here is that any vehicle with the options on the right side of the chart having damage on the left side of the chart would need to be recalibrated using a scan tool. And I think you can see by the left side of the chart here that that includes pretty much every collision event. The only one that I've come up with that wouldn't be covered here is possibly hail damage on the roof. But what Honda's saying here is pretty much any other damage that occurs in a collision is likely going to require the use of a scan tool in order to recalibrate that vehicle before it's delivered. So the OEs have come out with their position statements. There's been some discussion about whether the position statements are overreaching, but I don't think there's any debate that there's validity in the fact that the modern heavily optioned vehicles need to be scanned. The challenge for the repair community has been that in order to purchase the scan tools, if you're going to use OEM scan tools, if you're going to purchase just the scan tools for the OEs on this chart here, you would spend in excess of $150,000 in one-time fees, and then you would be faced with another $30,000 to $50,000 a year in fees for data updates and for training to stay current on each of the tools. So clearly OEM tools for an independent repair facility that's fixing all makes and models is not a valid option. So what are repair facilities doing today? So traditionally, when a car is needed diagnostic repair and the shop didn't have capability in-house, it was take the car to the dealership. And I think we all know how disruptive this can be to cycle time. In many cases, the dealers aren't set up to handle this kind of work. They're busy with their own mechanical repairs. And so it can cause up to 2 days in delays, and they also be very expensive. And there's the challenge of getting the car to and from the dealership. And with some vehicles needing a pre-scan and a post-scan and possibly some diagnostic repairs during the course of repairs, you're now talking in some cases 2 trips to the dealership or even more. So it's increasingly challenging as an alternative. In some markets, there's mobile technicians that are doing diagnostic repairs. These are typically people that also do airbag replacements. They have scan tools for the airbag replacements, so they've been helping shops out with diagnostics. What I've heard lately, though, is that the people that do this are so busy right now because of the level of demand that sometimes they're booked 2 weeks out. So they're not available in all markets. So in some markets, they might not even be an option at all. And in others, it's a challenge to get them scheduled in a way that doesn't disrupt production. Then shops can use an aftermarket tool. And, you can buy a tool at Walmart for $49, but it's not going to read most of the controllers on a vehicle. So there's a wide range in tools and capabilities of those tools. And the challenge for the shops has been when they do the work in-house, they often don't wind up with a sublet invoice to present to the insurers, and that means in some cases they're not getting compensated. And then there's the remote services. There's a couple of remote services available today, and they connect an OEM scan tool to the vehicle remotely over the internet or download OEM software to a device in the shop to use an OE, basically an OE diagnostic solution on a one-time use basis for a facility. So that's the fourth alternative. So this chart here shows, you know, what the costs are to the insurer and to the shop and what the impact is on cycle time. And these numbers are just an artist rendering based on some research we did, and these numbers can vary widely depending on the year, make, and model of the vehicle we're talking about and the market that these alternatives are being looked at. But it gives you an idea of, you know, the dealership as you move from left to right, you know, the most expensive solutions on the left and the most disruptive to cycle time. And then as you move to the right, you find that from a carrier perspective, they like the movement to the right because it's lowering their costs. But the interesting thing that we found when we looked at this at Mitchell is that the right-hand column is one of these rare situations in our industry where everyone can benefit when the repairer can do the job in-house using their own scan tools and their own technicians. That's the way that has the least disruption to cycle time. It's a way that the carrier can control their loss costs effectively, and the shop can actually make the most gross profit when they're able to execute the repair in-house using their own tools. So that's where we focused when we looked at Mitchell Diagnostics. So what we've done is we've created a complete diagnostic system. We're not just selling scan tools. And this chart kind of differentiates between what a diagnostic system is, where we're tying the scan tool into the rest of the shop's infrastructure for IT systems, versus a scan tool, which is just a standalone tool. So scan tools, every scan tool out there is designed for mechanical repair. We designed a solution, a complete solution for collision and automotive claims. You know, the scan tool typically is a standalone unit. We've actually made it a node on the network by connecting it to the shop's other systems they use for repair management, estimating, and communication with insurers. With a scan tool, if you get any output at all, you get just a PDF flat file. With our solution, we're actually processing the data so that we're bringing the data back to the repairer systems as well as the report outputs. And the reports that come off scan tools directly, they're very hard to read and hard to understand. And we've been able to design reports that are crisp, clear, and designed specifically for the use in the claims process and collision repair. So this is an example of a report that comes directly off a scan tool. They're just a cryptic listing of diagnostic trouble codes and controller IDs. They're hard to read, very hard for an insurance adjuster or even the consumer, the vehicle owner, to look at this and understand what's going on. In some cases, it's hard even for the people that are going to be working on the car to figure out what's exactly is going on. For instance, this one has 5 tire faults on a vehicle with 4 tires. I'm not sure what that means. Is it one wheel that's throwing 5 codes? Is it 4 wheels throwing a code each and one has 2 codes? You know, you don't get, these are really hard to understand. So what we've done with Mitchell is we've created a complete diagnostic solution that ties the scan tool, the best aftermarket scan tool available, back into the other systems in use. And one of our key things is we've worked very hard to keep this easy to use. So keep it simple, keep it connected. That's part of our design criteria. These are the 2 tools that we use. One is a bit larger. The one on the bottom can actually do J2534 recalibration in addition to the other functions. Both of them are very, very high-end aftermarket scan tools that have most of the functions found in OEM scan tools. So on the right, you see the report that we produce. And again, a nice, clean, concise report, easy to use, tailored for collision repair. And here's some call outs on what makes that report different. So we've got a nice summary section that tells you exactly how many controllers were read, what the DTCs, how those DTCs sort out in terms of which ones are history codes, which ones are current codes, and then all the details about the diagnostic trouble codes in a nice, easy to read format. Everything tied back to the vehicle VIN, which is verified to have been read directly off the vehicle by the tool. So the carrier can have confidence that anything on this report is tied to that VIN number, which they can then tie back to their claim. And it's a way that everybody gets better documentation and a clear understanding of what's going on with this vehicle. So this is a quick overview of what's a diagnostic system. And again, you'll see that we have complete connectivity from the scan tool all the way through back to communication to the insurer. So we've got a complete connected IT loop from the scan tool into the shop's systems and back into the carrier. And we've designed it in a way that it can work with any IP. So it works best. We have some nice integration with the Mitchell architecture, but if you're using another information provider for a certain carrier that requires the use of one of the other information providers, the system works beautifully with those as well. This is just some of the examples of some of the other features and functions you can do with our solution besides pre-scans and post-scans. And a lot of this gets very valuable when you get into the actual repair process and doing things in-house again, so you're avoiding that trip to the dealership. Some of the calibration routines that are able to be done on the Bosch tools in the Mitchell Diagnostics system. Again, the best aftermarket tool available on the market in terms of its capabilities in this area. And then optional, there's an optional TPMS kit, and then there's also a target-based calibration kit. So this is a generic target system that can recalibrate lane departure systems for Toyota, Honda, Kia, Hyundai, Mercedes, and soon to be Subaru and others. So it's a way that you can actually do target-based recalibrations, and Bosch is the only scan tool provider that offers a system like this to the aftermarket. So that's a quick summary. We're quite excited about this. We launched it in June. We've got a number of users using it. The feedback from the field has been great. The repairers are able now to complete many diagnostic repairs in-house. The documents are helping with claims communication and processing. And we're excited about this product and where we can go with it as we add more features.
Yeah, you mentioned the documentation aspect, and that seems to be what has been the sticking point, I think, for collision repairers for years in their dealings with insurance companies, that they weren't accepting that whatever printout you could get from your aftermarket tool, they weren't accepting that as proof that the service. In your discussions with the carriers as you worked at developing this, is this what they were asking for, this level? I mean, could you describe that a little bit in terms of your discussions with the insurance carriers?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, we developed this whole solution in close collaboration with repairers and insurers. And I personally have shown in just the last 2 months, I've shown the Mitchell Diagnostics system and the reports to 5 of the top 10 carriers, and all 5 of them had the same reaction. They all said that this is exactly the kind of documentation that we're looking for. So they like the fact that it's clear, concise, that they get validation from the tool, that the report they're looking at is tied to the VIN on their claim. They really like that closed loop validation. So they have a VIN validated report. That was important to them. And they also are they're very keen on making sure that the scan tool is a tool that can read all the controllers on the car. So those carriers that have done their research and looked at the various aftermarket scan tools available, they really appreciate the fact that Bosch is better than most others, and really at the top of the aftermarket in terms of its ability to read the controllers. So the carriers looking at this now are seeing they're confident that the repairers using this are using a tool that is capable of doing the job correctly, and they're getting the documentation, basically giving them something they can put in that file, electronic file, as a PDF document to prove that the vehicle was correctly repaired and returned to proper electronic function.
So is this fully rolled out? People can purchase this today?
Yes, we have it available for sale throughout the U.S. and Canada, and it's flying off the shelves as we speak. We've had a great reception and a lot of happy users already. So it's been very gratifying.
Well, thanks, Jack. I appreciate you spending time with us today.
My pleasure, Russ.